welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. I'm your host, Bernadette. Joining me today for the third time is Krista Ford. Welcome back. How are you?
Fine, how are you? The third time. Third time is charm, you know.
Oh, yes, it is. So happy to have you.
So happy to be here, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Really, I'm gonna put that out there in the universe. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're
Thank
feeling
you.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Krista, where about are you located?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Ooh, what's the weather like?
Beautiful
Oh.
most of the time until it's summer. Then it gets super. They call it hot Atlanta for that reason. It's in the south. We get really hot, humid weather here. You got to take like 10 baths before the day is up because you're sweating all day long.
Ooh,
But
yeah, that is
it's
hot.
really nice here. I'm not gonna complain. We got all four. We don't hardly have no winters, you know. We just have beautiful summers and springs and falls and the
Yeah,
changing of the leaves here, you know. But this is all south, so you know you're gonna get all that good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not bad. Not like Calgary. Not like up
Oh
where you're
no,
at.
no, it gets really cold here.
Oh,
Very.
I know. That's you know I used to slide
Yeah.
down that chute all the time over there. It's cold as crap in Calgary in the wintertime. Oh my God. Yeah, it's tough. But it's
Yeah,
so pretty
it is.
and
Yeah,
it's that crisp, clean, cool, cold weather that's just
yeah,
it's good. Got a lot of oxygen in it. You know, it's just good. Good
yeah,
weather.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
get it.
Krista, today
Yes.
we're going to talk about your adoption story because I've been doing a marathon on adoption.
Mhm.
So, why don't we start by you sharing your adoption story with us? And then
Okay.
I'll ask you a bunch of other questions.
Okay. Okay. So I was put up for adoption at birth. I originally was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and I didn't get adopted into the Ford family, the family I'm in now, till I was 1.5 years old. So I went through a couple of foster cares before I got to them, and that's that's the start of that. So. I mean, you
Yeah.
start asking me stuff, and then I'll start telling you more. But yeah, I was adopted at 1.5 years old
Okay.
after being put up for adoption at birth. So
Yeah,
soon as
yeah.
I came out in the world and was yelling and screaming, they were like, "Put her over there." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go over here for a little while." So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you for sharing. You were pretty young. Do you remember anything around that age? Well, not one, but up to there.
I actually do. God bless me with an awesome memory, and I remember things as early as going around about two.
Oh,
I
wow.
started, I really started remembering things. I remember the house that we lived in. We lived in Framingham, Massachusetts. It was a huge house. I remember my room. I remember my crib and things like that was in the room. I remember the kitchen, and there's a door that went out into the backyard and stuff. So I remember a lot of that. I remember my sister who is their biological daughter. So I'm the adopted one. So it's just me and my sister. I remember a lot about me and Stacy growing up. And I actually remember my baptism, believe that or not. I remember the preacher over me. I remember him doing that on my forehead. I
Mhm.
remember all of that. So yeah, I've got some pretty wild, young memories. So yeah, I remember a lot of that. Yeah.
That's impressive. I can't
Yeah.
even remember what I had for dinner yesterday. So, wow.
You
Impressed.
know, and I've always told everybody, even included in my book, uh, my memoir, I have an incredible memory. And I know that's a gift from God
Yeah.
because I can remember stuff. My sister's older than me, and and only by a couple of years, she can't remember nothing we did as children. Now I'll say something to her, I don't remember. I was like, really? I just remember everything short term and as well as long term, like real long term. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Impressive.
just that's a gift. I know it is
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
just have that. I'm like an elephant. That's what I tell everybody. Like elephants have awesome
That's
memories.
impressive. Wow.
Mhm.
So do you remember much about your birth family and have you ever looked for them?
Yes, I found them. I don't, as growing up, I didn't know anything about them because when I was adopted, Bernadette, in those years, in the early 60s, everything was closed adoption. You couldn't you couldn't find anybody if you wanted to because everything was sealed off. So when I got to be around 18, I decided I need to find my real family, but it was for not for me just finding my real family because I was adopted. I really wanted to know, this was my main reason. I wanted to know if there was any medical issues that I need to be knowing about because I'm not of the Fords, so I need to find out, that. So what fast forward, I contacted an adoption agency in Boston when I was 18, and we went through that whole process. And I found all the women on the side of my biological family. So I found my biological mom. She has three sisters or two sisters. So I found my aunts, my grandmother, and I actually ended up meeting all of them. So I did find them. It did not come out the way I thought at all. And then even we'll go more into this, but my adoption family did not turn out like, yeah. So I had
Mhm.
double whammies in my life. But yeah, I did end up finding them and everything. And it was a little process. It took about maybe 2 years to find them, to
Yeah.
find the mom. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
You
did find.
found the whole tribe.
I really did. I found all the women because well, I found out later, but none of the men in my biological family, my grandfather, I don't know who my father was, but all of them on the Italian side of my family, none of the men knew I even existed in life. So all the women knew. Yeah,
Oh,
that was
for
interesting.
sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So as an adoptee, what was it like growing up in your community?
It was fine in my community. It was my family. This is my family home that I was having an issue with because I got along with my community, all my friends at school and everything. I got along with everybody. I was real friendly and everything. It was just all the tumultuous crap that was going on in my adopted family with my adopted mom more so than everybody in the family. So
Mhm.
I had a great time out and about and doing, but the minute I walk in the house, we had issues. And we
Mm,
had issues from being that small up to adulthood and I was out of the house, that kind of thing. So
mm,
yeah, it
yeah.
was kind of it was tough because I explain to people all the time, just because you adopt a child and just because somebody does an adoption does not mean that child is going to get into this loving, wholesome family that's going to bring them in and embrace them. And so I said, it doesn't happen with everybody like that. I
Yeah.
said, but I just have to tell people, they think that that's the story. Usually
Yeah.
behind us, we get adopted into this family that is really, honestly, that could be your real family in the first place because that's how much they love you and take care of you and care about you and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's why I said I was good with the community, but the
Yeah.
family atmosphere was tough. It was tough. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah, you're right. I think society and people they romanticize adoption. Oh, this is going to be a great home, great family. When I tell people I was adopted, I see a smile on their face. I'm like, what the F are you smiling about? I'm trying to tell you all the shit I had to go through, and you're
That's
smiling in
oh
my face.
yes,
Right?
yes, and I think it's just an illusion that, like you said,
Hmm.
people have that thing about that word adoption, and they really think that everybody don't get into a house that is so grandiose. They just don't. Some people shouldn't even be adopting children, for
Oh,
real.
yeah, they
Not
shouldn't.
at all.
No,
Yeah. And
no.
so and if you have a biological child before you adopt that child, you got to think about that
Mm.
because
Hmm.
might be some favoritism in there because there's a biological, there's an adopted one that comes in, and if you don't treat these two fairly, the one of them's going to feel it big time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. You talk about people say, "Oh yeah, you're adopted." Yeah,
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 yeah. While we're
yeah.
on that topic of, not fitting in favoritism, tell us some myths or misunderstandings that you've noticed that people have had when it comes to adoption.
That's the biggest one right there. That you're going to be adopted into this loving, caring family that is going to take you in and treat you like they had you. You know, I think that's the biggest myth right there because everyone doesn't get that. And then two, I think um, people's reasoning why they adopt, you got to look at people's real reason why they're adopting. Now, if it's sincere and authentic of why they want to do it, maybe they've been trying to have children of their own for the longest time and they just want a child and they can't, and then they adopt it. So you already know that child that comes into that family, I believe, is
Hmm.
going to get all the love and care and nourishing that you could imagine because they just couldn't have any of their own. But I also think that people adopt kids for money.
Oh, yeah.
They oh boy.
Yeah.
So I think that when we really look at this, you gotta really be mindful and look at these parents that are doing it in the first place. What is your alternative motive why you want to adopt this child? And I think a lot of people, Bernadette, don't understand the biggest thing. When you bring a child in that's already been rejected
Mm.
in life,
Hmm.
that's why it's going to come out that way. You got that, you have to tread nice and lightly on that.
Hmm.
This person is going to have a lot of feelings and a lot of emotion about not being with their biological family and why they're not with their biological family. So I think a lot of people do not consider what the adoptee is going to have to go through emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything when you coming into a totally new family.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest, one of the biggest myths.
Yeah. Yeah, I
They forget
agree.
us. They forget the that we need to be the first and the foremost of what they're thinking about in the first place.
Yeah.
How is this child going to be able to grow with us and do with us, and how are we going to be able to give this child that their biological family did not want for whatever reason? they
Hmm.
gotta they gotta think about us first, I think, instead of thinking about themselves and how they want to fill in that void or fill in that little part of their heart that's missing, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there are some good reasons out here why a person will adopt, like I said, not being able to have, constantly trying and just not being able to have their own. Yeah, I
Hmm.
get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I know for sure that my adoptive mom, she didn't have kids. She was in her 50s, adopted quite late. And maybe it was a way to save her marriage, getting three kids. I'm this amazing, loving, good wife and whatnot. Well, not another reason to do that. Like that's such a bad reason to just
Yeah,
adopt, to prove something in a marriage or relationship.
or to appease someone else. That's try to please somebody else, another human being. Yeah, I think that's a big no-no.
Yeah, yeah,
You gotta you especially a woman, a mother, you gotta come within your spirit of why you're doing this for you, because at the end of the day, the guy could walk away and ain't no big thing to him, but motherly instincts and being a mother is a totally different ballgame. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with
yeah.
you. Yep.
Yeah, so let's talk about race.
Mm,
Obviously, it's not a topic I'm gonna ignore or shy away from.
hmm
It's gonna ruffle people. I really don't care.
I wouldn't care either. Who
Right?
cares, right?
It's
There's
the
other things,
truth.
bigger fish in the pond to be messing with right now. And
Yeah.
race ain't no big thing no more. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I'm the same way.
It's the absolute truth. I was adopted by Caucasian people and I'm black. I got a lot of looked and stared, and so did my family at the time. What was your experience? Were you adopted by people that look like you, talk like you, walk like you?
It's funny because I'm biracial. So my biological mother is Italian, and she's from Naples, Italian, that family. So that's in the upper boot. So they white, they got green eyes. They're not Sicilians. They're not from down in the boot where they're pretty olive color skin and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then from what I know, my father was black. I don't know anything about him because she wouldn't talk about him. And then what I saw in paperwork, I have no idea. And I have not tried to ever look for him. So I was a mixed child, adopted into a black family, which I was fine with because uh, I was really okay with that because um, I just came out light skinned, but I'm more, I would say I'm more black. I'm more in just everything I do and everything like that. Now, but it was funny on my birth certificate that I found later, it had on there, now think about it, I was born in the 60s. It had on there that I was white because I was so light skinned. And you think about it, my mom was Italian, she white. She
Yeah.
comes in there, she has me, I'm looking like her, and they put on my birth certificate white, which was really wild. But I didn't have much problems growing up being in a black family. The only thing in school, I used to get teased because they would call me Oreo cookie or zebra because I'm half and half. I'm half white, I'm half black, even though it says Italian, but I'm still that's just white still too.
Yeah.
So that was what I kind of came up with. So I was it was very good with me as far as like being adopted into a black family. It really was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it and I enjoyed that part. I didn't have any problems besides getting teased. And then I used to blow them off, you know. And then when I was growing up, because of that Italian part of me, I had long, wavy hair
Mhm.
and I was cute and I was light skinned. So that part of my whiteness was my hair and stuff. And people used to be jealous of that, you know, and they'd say stupid stuff and I just blow them off. Whatever, that's on you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but I didn't have, like I said, yeah, you in your case, yeah, I could see where that, you know, that dynamics would be a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, but I was just the lighter of everybody in the I was the lightest one besides my uh, adopted grandfather. He was light like me.
Hmm.
Um, but that
Yeah.
was about it. It was just me and him kind of. He was kind of the same way. He don't care what nobody think. He was like, whatever. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was my
Thank
situation.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing. Yeah. I have a mixed son, and
Okay.
yeah, he's still white.
Yeah.
When he was born, he had dark, almost green brown eyes, and yeah, I get stared mostly by older people from
Yeah.
older
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't care because this
Right.
is 2025 and
Exactly.
people can do whatever they want.
And everything that was used to be taboo long time ago, like mixed couples and all this kind of stuff, it is so common now. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
I would,
wasn't it used to be illegal to have that?
yeah, long time ago. You could, yeah, you had to hide that if you were in any kind of mixed relationship. Yeah, you had to hide that. No interracial stuff was going on back when
Yeah,
segregation, all that. Oh my God, no.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't do that. You couldn't mix and mingle like that. And I think that has a lot to do with, but nowadays, please, everything is don't nobody care no more. It's like whatever. You got so much stuff going on now. They ain't, I don't, you might still get looks, you know what I'm saying? But that's like it's not as taboo as it used to be, not at all.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know.
Yeah.
But and even your son who's mixed, if you're mixed and you're cute, please forget it. Nobody can bother you. It's
Yeah.
like whatever they might try, but that's that part of them that they're envious
Mm.
of what you look like, and then you got these nice big nice breeds together, like that racial thing going together, and oh my God, it's a nice look. Like
Yeah.
if you have an Indian and a black put together, oh, just beautiful structure and bones and all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So how would you say being adopted has impacted your relationships with friends, with family, romantically?
I've had a in between go at all that. That's including everything: family, relationships, my friends. Um, Half my friends don't even know I was adopted until my book came out. They didn't even know I was adopted, so I didn't ever really talk about it. I really
Oh,
never talked about it.
yeah.
But in my relationships, I have noticed that I had a lot of insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not about I'm secure with me. It was just all about this love thing, this love,
Yeah.
somebody loving for you, caring for you, and stuff like that. So for the longest time, I would, and still do sort of. It's not as bad, but I put a kind of put a wall up,
Yeah.
and but I would always have people fall in love with me, but I was just
Mm-hmm.
eh, you know, and then I didn't trust it because you coming from being adopted. It's hard to trust people that they're just not going to reject you, throw you out like the garbage, and keep moving. Because if you're used to having little things like that happen in your life, when you get into relationships, whatever they are,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to trust that these people really do care about you. They really do love you, especially like yourself and me. If you go through not, if you go through any kind of hardships with being adopted in your family, let's just say if you do, man, trust is a toughie, you know.
Yeah.
So you kind of guard your heart a lot, you know. Um, as
Mm-hmm.
far as family is concerned, like I said, it's different. And then friends, I'm telling you, half my friends, I'm not joking you, till my book came out, they were like, "What? I didn't know you were adopted," because I just never talk about it.
Yeah.
And you know how when you go to the doctor and they ask you your family background,
Mm-hmm.
or who do you have this? Is this inherited in your family? And yada yada. I can't answer none of those questions, so I don't never say I'm adopted. I just say no, that it's no issues, or I go based off of what my adopted family. But I really am not answering that correctly because I just don't know. Now I know, but stuff like that. So I used to hide it a lot. I never even mentioned it. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've had similar experience too, where I just don't bother talking about it. Here and there, I would let people know if they ask, but it's not something I ever went into details about because of stigma.
Yeah, yeah,
There's stigma about everything in life.
yeah,
And society, they
yeah,
did and still continue to do a pretty good, shitty job at reminding adoptees that, hey, you were adopted.
yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah,
think I know that. Thank you for the
yeah.
reminder. You
And they
know?
kind of make you feel like you're not important,
Yeah, yeah.
or
As if
because you got rejected. You're not.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like you, I just be like, okay,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
yeah. And then I
Yeah.
think too, when people when when it comes up, like in relationships and things like that, my thing is that I've always longed to have that family that you go home to, and
Mm,
and everybody just loves each other, and it's a tight family. I never had that. So when I get into a relationship, if they have that in their family, it's and if they accept me like as a surrogate daughter or whatever, that's cool. But I haven't had that happen very much. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And so I'm still looking for that family
Hmm.
that I never really have ever had. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I don't know what that feels like. I'm learning how to be that for myself. And along the way, there has been lots of bumps and lessons and unexpected turns. For
yeah,
me, I know when it comes to relationship, oh boy, do I struggle. I personally don't have friends. I've been recycled over and over and over, hurt over and over,
yeah,
and
yeah,
my walls, like nothing can get through them, not even
yeah,
fire. So,
yeah, yeah. And see, and I think that because you and I are on this spiritual journey, and we've been on it for a minute, right? I feel like that at the right time and the right moment,
hmm
all of the things that we go through as an adoptees, it settles down and it comes to pass. But we learn from all of this, and I believe that in the end, we're going to experience some of the things we've never experienced in a good way before because I think we deserve it. I really do. I think that we worked hard and we earned, but we deserve to be happy, be with
hmm
somebody who, that gives us that joy that we can share everything with, a partner and blah blah blah. And then those walls, like you said, that stuff can come down and it's okay, but that's because you're with the right one. You
hmm
got to get with the right one in order to experience that. And I'm not saying that person is supposed to be the one who just makes, you're looking for them to make everything all right, because that's not even
Yeah.
that's not realistic. It really isn't. But like you said, once we get through a lot of this stuff and understanding it
hmm
and actually bringing it out, it just helps us be better people, better human beings, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And we can bring our guard down a little bit. So I'm the same way. I've been through some stuff,
Yeah.
but I absolutely love companionship. I love people. I that's the good thing about even some adoptees don't come out that way as far as like
Yeah.
they don't want to be around the people, leave you alone and blah blah blah. I'm a total opposite. I'm like the social butterfly. I still am
Mm.
friendly. I like to talk. I like to mix and mingle and enjoy new friendships and stuff like that. So that's the good part of me. I have a lot of compassion and empathy
hmm
and sympathy in me, just like you do.
Yeah.
But you would think it would be the total opposite because it can't come out that way, where you're just cut off. You're just don't want to have nothing to deal with nobody, and you're
hmm
just like I'm done with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. My bio dad was that way.
really,
Oh yeah. I mean, he used to talk to people, but yeah.
real surface.
Oh yeah.
Some people just are they just antisocial too. That can help. That can happen with
Mhm.
coming out of being an adoptee, that you just don't want to be bothered with, leave you alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some adoptees come out and they're mad at the world. I get
hmm
that too.
hmm
I get why we go whatever direction we go in, but I just think at the end of the day, we have to do what's best in self-love for us as a human and as a person, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
agree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Adoptee. How do you think adoptees can advocate for themselves?
Kind of like speak up for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in doing stuff like what you're doing right here.
Mm,
I think we have to come together and support each other, and that will help us speak up for ourselves even more as we keep moving along. And the more knowledge that we get from other people, like your story, my story, I think that helps us grow and helps us deal with about anything that has to do with adopting, being adopted. I
yeah.
just think we have to um, just soak ourselves up with knowledge of different people's stories. Because everybody's story is different here.
Yeah.
But I will say, being adopted, you know that it's we're the minority,
Mm.
so we have to look at that too. There's not, I mean, there's a lot of adoptees out here, but there's more people with biological families too. know, like they had to. So I think that would be the biggest thing that we can do for one another as well as ourselves. The more comfort, the more support we get from people like-mindedness and like living the same kind of life or went through it, I think that helps us to keep growing and understanding us, what we had to go through, why it happened, whatnot. And I just think that helps us to be able to speak up about it in a very good way too. You know what I mean? Like not always just putting it down or something like this, but we can speak up to it and say, it's not so bad to be adopted. You just got to figure out your life and what direction you want to go in and how you want to treat your family. If you decide to have your own family, how are you going to do things different, or how are you going to do them the same? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that I have one thing I just want to throw in here. I've told people, and I've always told myself this: I will never adopt a child
Oh,
because
I
because I
said the
said
same thing too. Never,
I
ever,
said
ever.
I don't want, and it's not because I don't want to give a child a chance. It's that I just don't want a child to have to go through what I went through with these question marks all over their life, the rest of their life. I just don't want to put a child through that where they just don't know who they are, where they come from, the whole biological thing. They don't know that. And I said, I don't want to put a child through that.
Yeah.
Even though I know I would give that child, oh my God, so much love and attention, I would, but I just don't want them to have to be going through what I went through, what you went through. And you're sitting around scratching your head going, why, I don't, why don't I?
Yeah.
And this, that, and other. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have lots of questions, both on my biological family side and adoptive family side. And I've been blessed, to be like when you get different radio signals, because one of my sisters was adopted as a baby. And I was there through the process and whatnot. And she's almost 18, 19, and she's been
Okay.
asking me, what was it like? And I'm still in contact with my birth family. So
Right.
I've been in between. I'm translating and I'm communicating. And in that case, if someone has that, boy, is it ever helpful.
I'm telling you, really is. It really is. I mean, and I think that people that can talk to one another, that can say, I've experienced it,
Mm.
so much more powerful than talking to somebody like going to a therapist or whatever. If you ain't went through this, it's really hard for you to talk on it. Really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
that's kind of where I'm at, with literally everything in life. If it's not to push people's journeys away or stories, then I validate all of that. But
Yeah,
if someone hasn't been through what I've been through, I will listen,
yeah.
but I can't relate to it.
I I agree. And that's with anything in life, right? You
Yeah.
sitting there talking to somebody who has done something for 50 years and they know what they're talking about, and you'll talk to somebody else that thinks they know. That's what I don't like. It's like I don't like, how people will say to me, or they'll say to anybody who doesn't have any children of their own, well, how would you know because you don't have no children? I said, now I don't have to have no children to understand what's right and wrong here. You know what I mean?
It's common sense.
But yes, common sense that stuff. But when it comes to us, it's just really a lot easier to speak on the subject with people who know because they've been through it too. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say to her?
I'm proud of her,
Mm, good.
very proud.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I was sitting there talking to my little mini me in front of me, I'm very extremely proud that I never gave up the fight, even to this day. No
Yeah.
matter all the stuff that like your story and mine alike,
Mm-mm.
I'm proud to say I I kept the faith. I kept moving, and I never gave up, no matter what. Even if I had two huge bad experiences from both mothers, I was rejected by both of them. And in life, I would tell my little younger self, I'm proud of you that you didn't let those two women in your life define who you came out to be at all. So yes, I know what that was. Yeah,
Wow, I needed to hear that. And
yeah,
someone else who may be watching this, soon or in
yeah,
years, will need to hear those very words because it all starts when we're so young.
yeah. It really does.
Yeah, yeah.
And that shapes and molds us, everything around us from the time we take our first breath.
Mm-hmm.
And I think how you come out, how you let it uh, mold and shape you,
Mm-hmm.
that tells a lot about you.
Yeah.
That's why I said I would say to me, I'm proud of me, very proud of me, because I didn't. You or me both. We wasn't given a book that said, "Okay, now Bernadette, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to happen, and then Krista, this is what's going." We was never given that book, and especially being adopted, we was never given a book of how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
Coming into a family you don't know nothing about, you're not of them naturally.
Mm-hmm.
We never got a book on that. So how we come out, and we come out okay. We still got our marbles upstairs, and we're still functioning, and we're breathing, and we're doing all right. We came out all right. So I think that all of us should look at ourselves that way. You did okay. You came out all right,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though you had to go through all of this, or you might still be going through it. You just have to look back on yourself and just
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
proud of you and say, I did okay. I did
Yeah.
okay, regardless. Regardless.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you done some shadow work, inner child healing? I'm in the process of doing that, and I'm
Explain to me what that is more.
shadow work, shadow,
Yeah.
pulling out the best and the worst of you and processing it and going through it. Inner child healing, would be having a conversation with your younger self. Could be writing a letter, just
Yep.
answering questions and making peace with what was and what can be.
I think what I've been doing, just like yourself, I've been doing that a lot with me and God,
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
because I've been talking to him a lot about forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving my adopted mom for all the shit she put me through,
Yeah. Yeah.
forgiving my biological mother her rejection after she wanted to see me. So for me, it's been a lot of talk. God's kind of been my therapist, and that's my work I've been doing on my life and my younger self.
Yeah.
And then he's starting to give me a lot of answers. He's pulling stuff out of me too. That's when I wrote the book, and I put a lot of that in there. So I think that was just God showing me, look, it's time now. You can pull some of this stuff out of you, put
Yeah.
it in this memoir, and it's going to help somebody else. And then we'll, meaning him and I, will keep working on you, get you come around this circle, and we're gonna get you in a nice place. So I would say that that's been a lot of what I've been doing for
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of years now, because I blocked when my biological mother did what she did.
Mm-hmm.
I blocked all of it out. I didn't want to talk about it. I only told a few people that I even found her in the first place. Very few people know I even found her.
Yeah.
And until the book came out, then it came out. Yes, I found my biological mother. But uh, yeah, me and God a lot. That's been my
Yeah. Yeah.
that's been my he's been healing me. I didn't even know I needed healing, but I think because when you block stuff out and you just don't want to talk about it, you just really put it way back there. And
Yeah.
unless something triggers it to come back out, then you don't even think about it too much. But now that I've been triggered, that it needs to just, it's time. It's time for things to start unveiling themselves, and let's start healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And forgiving, because that was my whole thing. I'm still working on that. Because man, some of, you know what I mean. Some of the stuff, when people do these things to you, and they're supposed to be your family,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to love and care for you always. When they do some fucked up stuff like you said, you're going, what did I do to deserve that? Nothing. And so you really have to dive deep inside of you to
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
forgive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and just yourself. You got to start here. You got to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to go there or be there,
Yeah.
you know, and allowing them to penetrate your peace,
Mm.
stuff like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They
Yeah.
take you back down that rabbit hole again. Then you're going back through all that stuff you went through, and then it starts making you pissed off again. And then you go, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to constantly be regenerating and just, like you said, reforming yourself, healing yourself, reforming yourself into, because you know you're a good person. I know I'm a good person.
Yeah.
Um, we just got things that we have to deal with sometimes. But yeah, that's been me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can definitely relate. And throughout the Bible there are different verses of how Jesus and God sees the orphan or the adopted and fatherless. Um, and I think so many adoptees and other people as well who have had really, really hard lives. You'd be amazed how deeply connected they are to God. Very.
Uh, that what you just said is very powerful. I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm,
God knows the plan for all of us anyway, and He does have a special little place for orphans and everything. You're right, in the Bible it says that. But I think that because we were rejected or given away, whatever you might want to call it, I think that God just kind of scoops in and says, remember, I was always your father. And just
mm,
come to me and I'll take care of you. I'm never going anywhere.
mhm,
And you're right about that. I think that is a lot of why we gravitate to God,
mm,
because He will always say to us, I will never leave you. Never. And I will never leave.
mm.
Whereas we feel like we've been left, of course, because
Yeah.
that's the position we were put in, and but he comes back and he scoops in and goes, Bernadette, you never have to worry about it. It gets right on in your spirit and says, I'm never going anywhere. So that was always my go-to.
Mhm.
That was always my go-to.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know regardless if I go through relationships and family and everything else, friends,
Yeah.
God is always your best friend, your companion, your partner, your father. He's everything. So we just have to look toward that first and foremost. But you're right. I believe that. Any people who have gone through a lot of people have gone through a lot of addictions and whatnot.
Mhm.
They all come back to God. They really do. Because if you think about it, ain't nothing else you can do. No human can do anything that God can't do. God can do it. So, but yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
I think that keeps us grounded in our faith. And I would say for me and you alike, hope. We know that is hope that will always be digested inside of us. We know there is a thing called hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope
Yeah.
for everything to be okay. There's
Yeah.
always hope. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I believe in, because
Yeah.
I've had visions, dreams, and
Yep.
I watch sermons, and
Yeah.
to me, I don't have to clarify or give proof of my
Yes.
relationship with God. It's personal, it's private, it's sacred, and I don't have to always advertise it.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
agree. I can't shut up about it, but I would agree. You know what I mean?
I do.
And then you know what I've noticed, what you just said is that ever since I've been out here just really preaching this thing, right? Um, I really pay attention now to people's response to when I start saying something. Like when I talk about my book, I say my book is about God. Then I look at the person, I want to see what's gonna happen next, right? But
Yeah.
you're right. I don't have to prove anything to anyone else what my relationship is with God. That's me
Yeah.
and Him.
Yeah.
And it's personal like that.
Hmm.
And you don't have to prove to anyone,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but you're right. You're totally right. You're
Hmm.
totally right on that. And
Yeah.
I just I haven't talked to a lot of adoptees my whole life, but the ones that I have, including you now,
Hmm.
we are very faith driven.
Yes. Very.
Very faith driven.
Yeah.
And I think that is unshakable with us.
Hmm.
I really do.
Yeah.
Because we beat through, when you go through a lot of stuff, please, and you come out of it
Hmm.
and you know how you came out of it, there ain't nothing nobody could say to me to say, oh, that wasn't him. No, that was him. You
Yeah.
know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
agree.
So
Yeah.
the proof's in that pudding, you know.
I
So
agree. Yeah.
yeah.
So as we wrap up this episode, what messages of hope that you have for anyone who has been touched by adoption?
If you're struggling with like you and I and things coming out now, if you're struggling with that, let it go. Let it flow. Let it come on out. Stop resisting it. Let it come out. Any kind of feelings you're having right now, any kind of questions you're having, if you really want to know, go find the answer. You know, don't be scared, don't be afraid to, if you want to find your biological family, you want some answers to some questions you have,
Mhm,
don't let fear stop you from doing that. But I would say that if you're struggling with it in any kind of way,
mhm.
just forgive yourself, relax, and let it flow out. And let's see what happens from there.
Yeah.
The only thing you could look, it's a win-win. What can you lose by just letting it all come out and stop fighting it so much? You know what I mean? Your feelings. If you're going through, go talk to somebody. Talk to God. I mean, he got all the answers anyway. But just saying, just get yourself together, and if you're having all of these things going on with you about being adopted or the family you lived in and everything like that, just stop resisting it. Just let it go.
Mhm,
Let it go, and you might be really surprised on the great outcome
mhm.
of what you might find later from people around you and whatnot, or their information or your knowledge once you start getting knowledge about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Krista, where can people find your book?
Okay. It's Krista's Promise, Krista apostrophe S. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org, Apple Books. It's coming out on Audible. And if you live in Atlanta here, it's in two bookstores, Nubian Bookstore and Tall Tales.
Mhm.
And there's a big picture of me on the front cover in a USA outfit because I'm a professional athlete. So that has everything. And I have that bobsled. That's my bobsled suit that's on the front cover. So
Do you have the book with you to show us or no?
I do. Hang on. Give me 1 second. Don't go nowhere.
Ah, there she is.
Let's say Here's this promise. Yeah. Beautiful book. A lot of compelling stories in here. Spiritual memoir. So it's all just talking about life, God, us, and why we're here. And we got to figure it out like we talked about last time. We got to figure it out because ain't none of this time refundable. So it's a lot of compelling stories, but it is my memoir. And this is just up to date to now. We're going to have another book coming. I told you we're already, I just signed a contract to get the screenplay done on the book. So it's going to be a movie. So
Well, make sure you put me in it, please.
I'm like, you're going to be playing a part for sure. My spiritual sister. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Wow,
It's going to be
that's
really good.
amazing.
It's going
Yeah,
to be really
yeah.
good.
I see so much of myself in your story, and that is the power of us sharing our stories and journeys.
You do. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Did you ever get it yet? Did you get my book yet?
Not yet.
What you gotta work on. Okay, I'll give you some time.
Okay.
But you will have to talk more about that.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
you see yourself, because I that's the first time you've said that. So yes,
yeah,
I like that. I like
yeah,
that a lot. That's
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Krista, thank you so much for your time, for coming on the podcast,
Thank
for sharing
you.
your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're
You,
gonna talk after you get you got yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Bye everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.